each mock draft. Jags' new general manager James Gladstone is headed into his first draft as the general manager of an organization, and he gives thought process on what he deems most important.
Still familiar territory. You're talking football. My mind remains rooted in a lot of the same things that it always has been, and I think you all will remember this phrase, but focusing our attention on intangibly rich human beings and allow that to remain our North Star, and making it so that, it's very clear amongst our group that that's really what we're leaning into, and having everybody embrace that and feel that. It's been a joy. It's been fulfilling, and really looking forward to allowing those discussions to become reality.
2 degrees at 9:59. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Trevor fires for the back of the end zone, and that ball is going to be caught for the touchdown by Brian Thomas Jr. What a throw and catch. He tiptoed along the end line. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Fires deep downfield. Got a man. That's Brian Thomas Jr. 50 in the Colts territory. 35, 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown, Brian Thomas Jr. Just went 85 yards.
He's a playmaker. That's what stands out to me. It's just not one thing. We all know these fans. I can't really point to his releases. Can't really point to how he comes out of his routes. He just makes plays.
Looking, steps up, fires to the back of the end zone. Brian Thomas Jr. Did he double catch it? Yes, it is. Touchdown. He bobbled it, but hung on. Brian Thomas Jr. has the score, and Jacksonville is taking the lead.
Yeah, he's only going to get better once he masters his craft as far as his stance off the line, and as far as come off the ball. You'll see in games to come, he'll get better, and even next year, he's going to be that much better than he is right now. Right now, he's just getting his feet wet and showing us what he can do. So I'm looking for this guy to be a big-time playmaker for us in the years to come, and I'm glad to have him part of the Jaguars.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
Welcome in, everybody. 1 week out from the NFL draft. Good morning to you. Jaguars Today off and rolling here in a toasty little studio this morning, Tone. I mean, old man strikes again. It's 73 degrees on the thermostat here in Denmark. It should not be hot in here. It should feel fantastic.
It's getting hot in here.
It feels a little bit stuffy. Dylan just, he promised he will not take off all his clothes despite how hot it's getting in here. It's just probably good for all of us here, Tony, especially since we're still streaming in some capacity on YouTube, which, by the way, if you've noticed, if you've taken the program in on social media, on YouTube or any of the feeds, the streams, you can see, what do you call that, a QR code? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
What does QR stand for?
I don't know.
What are you laughing at there, Denmark?
Is that a QR code?
That is what that's called, right? QR code, right? Right? What does QR stand for, smart guy?
I'm about to tell you right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm about to Google it, right? I
Quick
can do that.
response.
Okay.
Code. Wow.
All right. Well, you mock me for just I actually knew what QR was, but just didn't know what it stood for. All right. Anyway.
It was invented in 1994.
Really?
There you go.
The QR code was invented in 1994?
According to Wikipedia.
What were they using them for in 1994?
Who had the capacity to?
How could you scan it? What do you scan it with?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Was it like in a hospital?
Or was it like,
or like
when
in a
did they
grocery
start,
store?
When did they start, scanning groceries like that?
Yeah.
With a barcode? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right,
look
up the history of the barcode, Dylan. Report back. Japanese company.
So they might have started using it in Japan first.
All right, here's one for you. What year was the Nintendo company founded? Speaking of Japanese companies, Tony, Nintendo known for its fine video game offerings.
1978.
1889.
Wow. I would have been off by 100 years.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, 1889. Now, they obviously didn't specialize in video games, but they were like a playing card company back in the day. And over time, they morphed what they did. But Nintendo was actually in the name. in 1889. It's like Nintendo Hantai or something like that. So there you go, people. You tune in for Draft Talk and you get that.
They ran into the Miracle of Mario at some point and said,
they
we got to
did.
do something
We're definitely going in this direction. All right, so today we've got the Miracle of the Meeting of the Minds. We've got Hayes Carion in hour 1. We've got Pete Prrisco in hour 2. It's all wall-to-wall draft from here on out. Interesting. Yesterday, Tony, I guess it was posted yesterday. Honestly, I didn't look. I should have done that. But Jamal St. Cyr posted some audio from Jaguars Jones.
Yeah, he's got an interview. I think he's running as part of pre-draft coverage on next Thursday is when the whole thing is going to run. I think Jamal said, but he did release the clip of it yesterday.
Yeah, he put a clip out there on social media. So giving full credit to Jamal St. Cyr over at Channel 4. He spoke with Jaguars Jones, and we've had this conversation. Do we think he can play outside? Yes. Mm-hmm. Does the staff think he can play outside? We don't know. How would we know, right? It's like, for one thing, we don't even know if they like Mason Graham, right? I mean, we really don't. There's been so much smoke connecting them to Mason Graham, and as a logical choice, it's not like they're holding a press conference going, have you seen this defensive tackle up there in Michigan? And, the other guy's good too, but this one, really. But Jarian was asked about, what the future holds for him here and talking with Jamal. So let's play the clip, Dylan, because I think this is pretty instructive on what the Jags' vision is and maybe what their plans are at this position in the NFL draft. Go ahead and roll it.
Last season when I was playing, all 100% nickel, I was asking them, can I go play corner? That's what I played. You know what I'm saying? Obviously I play nickel, but I guard people. That's what I do. I play corner. I guard people. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what all went into it, but just last thing they wouldn't let me do it. So so the coach staff letting me be able to go do that. That's something when I first met with Coach Camp, when I first met with Liam, that's something I asked them. Can I please go play corner? And they was like, well, actually, that's what we were thinking. And I was like, okay, well, we all in cahoots together.
Hey, a couple of things in there. One, what do they have at outside corner that was playing well that was blocking him from doing that last year?
That whatever was going on in the building last year with what they did with the first 3 picks that they had.
Crazy amount of dysfunction.
What is happening?
Right. Not only that, but the Eric Armstead thing.
Right.
And, to this day, I'm not quite sure who first proposed him playing defensive end.
I don't know
for this
we'll
football
ever
team.
Get a straight answer.
Right?
Somebody knows, but I don't think we're ever going to get a straight answer.
So Jarian said, look, I can do nickel, sure, but, man, I'm going to thrive as an outside corner. And, look, let's be honest. These guys would rather play outside. There's more money in playing outside corner, for one thing. It's more of a prestigious thing. You looked at as a nickel corner. You're kind of a starter. You're not necessarily a starter. Some people say, oh, yeah, there's nickel. We consider that a starter. But, if you look at a depth chart, it's not going to say your name necessarily as a starting player on it. Regardless, if that's how the Jaguars look at him and say, you know what, then let's go out there and find the best nickel we can. And that's who they thought Jordan Lewis was in terms of the available players there. Gave him the most money at the time. I think it just got topped in the last few days for any nickel cornerback in the league. And if you envision Jarian outside opposite Tyson Campbell, doesn't mean they won't draft corner in the draft, Tony. But I think, other than the occasions, I think sometimes we put, maybe we started out with Will Johnson there. This is before the Jordan Lewis thing, right? And before Will Johnson's whole offseason path took him probably outside of the range where the Jags would consider him at 5. Occasionally, I'll mock a corner to the Jags at 36 because there seems like a walk-in-the-door starter-type guy available there. But if you think Jarian can be that guy, you can wait to the 4th round. Maybe you can wait to even later and bring in, quote, competition. And, Monteric Brown's played a lot of football in the National Football League. I'm not saying it's ideal, but this idea, somebody yesterday, I did the 2 mocks side by side. They're like, man, you only have one starter in either one of those 2 mocks that would come in here and start. And I'm like, first of all, you are thinking way too highly of the returning talent on this roster, but they're not all going to start, Tone. You're going to have depth. And how many starters would you imagine on day 1 come out of this draft class?
At least, I would think 3.
I'm going to say 2.
Yeah, because they could draft somebody in the 5th round that could start at safety.
Sure.
right? Like that kind of thing.
Or they could also go with the guys they have on hand.
I think the first round pick, whatever wide receiver they pick up, and somewhere in there there'll be some kind of off the beaten path. So I would if you put the over under at 2.5,
you go
I think
over.
that's where you're kind of playing the game.
I'd probably play under.
Yeah.
And I'd go 5 and 36, whoever they are. And I'm presuming 36, if the Buka, Luther Burden level receivers available there, that guy's going to walk in. Now, certainly, you're right. You could take a receiver at 70 potentially, and he could start. But I think that becomes less and less likely the further you go down the line, especially with the way they talked about it. They want to run the offense through Brian Thomas Jr. And Liam Cohen last week talked about getting everybody a touch early among the pass catchers, the skill guys, to get them all involved. So I don't know if there's going to be this need to immediately for them to feel like we've got to get this, RT Higgins to our Jamar Chase level guy in here right now and up to speed if we're talking about a pick at 70, 88, 107 or later. But today we are going to be talking about the wide receiver position, among other things here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we're asking you, and man, even now over 100 votes in, Tone, everything's pulling at least 20%. Nothing's getting 30%. That is a tight poll, one of the best we've had in a while. Assuming good health, who will be the second most productive pass catcher after Brian Thomas Jr. for the Jacksonville Jaguars this year among wide receivers and tight ends? I just wanted to make it simple. Take the running backs out. Maybe some running back catches 75 passes out of the backfield. And, and productive doesn't necessarily mean yards. It's like however you feel the biggest impact, the combination of yards, touchdowns, catches, targets, all those things. And your options in the poll are the two guys Liam Cohen went to when he was asked about the wide receiver depth chart beyond Brian Thomas. You got De'Ami Brown and Parker Washington. We did not include Gabe Davis. If you think it's Gabe Davis, you can reply with that note if you want to. Brenton Strange, he's the top, clearly the top pass-catching option among tight ends currently on the roster. Or will it be a rookie wide receiver or tight end? And all of those getting at least 20% right now. You can give us your thoughts on that question and anything else Jaguar-related at 641-1010. That's the number for the phone lines. Also for the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hop in the YouTube virtual studio chat. Post your thoughts, questions, musings right there. Or on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
All right, a lot of talk about Ashton Genty and the Jags lately. I read a lot of opinions online about this, Tone, on social media and otherwise. And I think a lot of people are like, it's a crazy idea. It's crazy, but I kind of be all for it, right? Like, there's a lot of that, and I feel that. Like, it wouldn't be my first choice, but I would understand the vision. And how can you not get excited about a guy who's going to touch the ball over 300 times with the productivity that he's had? So we'll hear what Ashton Genty's message was to NFL teams who are considering drafting him as the hour goes along. Hayes Carion in about 20 minutes from now, and Pete Prrisco coming up about an hour from now as we are 1 week out from round one of the NFL draft. Tony Smith is here, Dylan Denmark. I'm Mike Dempsey. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. 1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
What is going on here?
Mornings
I'm a rule breaker. I'm a rattle chicka snaker.
on 1010XL.
And the only way to understand this is to realize that it's incomprehensible.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning is your go-to for all AC repairs and replacements. Just gas your AC. For exceptional service, call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjax.com to schedule your estimate today.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjax.com.
Hello, Jacksonville. This is John Johnson with First Coast Recycling. We buy junk cars. If you have a car or a truck that you're looking to get rid of, then look no further. If you absolutely, positively have to get that car out of there, accept no substitutes. Fast cash is at your fingertips. Just call First Coast Recycling at 294-1659 today for a quick and easy quote. Come on, let's take your driveway back.
Need fresh and flavorful lunch? Chicken Salad Chick has scratch-made Southern-style chicken salad in every bite. It's quick and delicious, so why wait? Come taste the best chicken salad today at Town Center, Durbin Park, or Butler Point at Chicken Salad Chick.
Jaguars Today Thursday is towed by Cannons of Jacksonville.
Interested in a unique date night? Gibby here. I took my wife Nikki to Wick a Candle Bar. She made her own custom candle right there in the store. Shop local at Wick a Candle Bar. Locations in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
Before the picks come in, 1010XL will be all over the draft with every angle and option. 1010XL's draft coverage is brought to you by First Coast Recyclers and Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors. Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and there's so many cool products that are on the line at Cycles of Jacksonville. The showroom is Atlantic and Regency, and we're talking, Greg, you've got from any level of price point, the experienced rider to the inexperienced on-road, off-road.
We've got it. We've got ATVs. We've got motorcycles. We've got scooters. We even have the new Honda boats. We've got something for everyone.
Don't forget about the boat line from Honda. It's all right there, waiting for you. Atlantic and Regency or Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to our website, CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com. And let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to ITPPartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
Spring is in the air, and it's time for cool boats at hot prices. Come to the Jacksonville Spring Boat Show, April 25th, 26th, and 27th at Metropolitan Park. Don't miss killer deals on boats and accessories, plus fishing seminars, kids events, and more. The Jacksonville Spring Boat Show, presented by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside. Come by boat and get in free. Tickets and info at boatjacks.com. That's boatjacks.com.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, I've heard you talk about the quality philosophy of Underwoods. Just what is that?
Frank, simply stated, the Underwood quality philosophy is fine jewelry and gifts will bring customers back and create new customers through the endorsements given to Underwoods by our satisfied customers. However, it's our definition of quality that's really been the Underwood difference, because quality has to go beyond materials and craftsmanship and has to include things like design, how it's presented, our service, our integrity, a customer's experience in our store, and the satisfaction a customer feels when they've chosen a special gift from Underwoods. A person or a company earns a reputation over a long period of time. And in Underwoods, we know that you earn your reputation every day, because that good reputation can be lost in a matter of days if you're not committed to doing the right thing for the long term.
That's Underwood, serving excellence in North Florida since 1928 in San Marco, Avondale, or the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
New year, new club. This is Joe C., and I'm proud to be a member of Southampton. And with the popularity of golf, getting a tee time is tough. But with membership comes member privileges. Enjoy clubhouse dining, expanded practice area, focusing on all parts of your game. And right now, you can join with an annual commitment and get a $1,000 discount, plus $500 of Pro Shop credit. All the details are online at golfsouthampton.com or call 287-PLAY and make a tee time today at the Golf Club of Southampton.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Denmark's all about the Ninja Turtles today. It's like, hey, you know that song from that Ninja Turtle movie? No, I don't. I'm here to tell you.
As I told you, when he said it, I was like, is he talking about Vanilla Ice's Ninja Rap?
Yeah.
From the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Like, go Ninja, go. Like, I vividly remember that song.
Yeah, I don't think that he was. Obviously, he's referring to this.
Obviously, that's way before Dylan. I think that was 1991. That was when I was a kid.
Was it really that long ago?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
All right. Old people talking. All right. Man, the poll is tight this morning. So, as Tuca would say. So go ahead and vote if you haven't already. Who will be the second most productive pass catcher this year? Assuming good health for all, Brian Thomas will lead the way. Will it be De'Ami Brown or Parker Washington or Brenton Strange or a rookie wide receiver or tight end? Yes, total disrespect shown to Gabe Davis in this poll, in part because we can only put 4 options in here, and in part because Liam Cohen mentioned those other 2 wide receivers before him last week.
They did.
So, like you said in crosstalk, if he doesn't mention them, we don't have to. That's where we're at on that. Would we like Ashton Genty? Mixed opinions on that, obviously, but here's Ashton Genty's open letter to the National Football League. This is what he had to say. It's very brief. I've taken the long way. I'm done with that way. If you pick me, it's simple. I'm coming to your franchise to do what Saquon and the Eagles just did. I'm coming to win big soon. It's tackle football. You know what I'm saying? I'd draft the guy that can't tackle. Thank you for your time, Ashton Genty. So there you go. I don't know if he wrote it or his rep wrote it or whatever the case may be, but
that sounds like him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know his personality.
Like, I don't know his rep or anybody involved in the whole thing, but that sounds like something a player talking about himself would write.
It's odd, though, because, like, okay, you do whatever you like, and it doesn't really bother me that much. And something like this is innocuous, doesn't hurt anybody. But who's he talking to here exactly? Like, when people feel like the floor for him is 6, maybe 10. I guess if you're thinking, hey, if the Raiders could possibly pass on me. I mean, 6 in today's day and age for a running back is not a precipitous fall, I don't think, and we'll see. Chad Ryder said, don't be shocked. And we'll see when his mock comes out tomorrow if he backs it up with a prediction that the Patriots could be a team for Ashton Genty at that spot. I mean, Prrisco is saying even this guy, even me, the noted running back down player, thinks this guy's got a little something extra. So anyway, we'll find out what the Jags do. He is the betting favorite, Genty, to go to the Raiders. He's also the betting favorite to go to the Bears. Tony, have you seen the odds for the top 10 that are out right now? All the top 7 picks are a minus favorite. In other words, you have to bet more money than you would get back. It's considered a strong favorite or a lean towards that. For instance, Cam Ward is a minus 20,000 favorite. Right, so you got to bet $20,000 to win 100 there. He's a mortal lock. And I mean, if you're the kind of person who has 20 grand to splash around, you're probably not going to worry about that $100.
Probably
right?
not.
So not going to get a lot of action there. You got to bet $350 to win 100 that Travis Hunter will go to the Browns. Okay, so it's that's a heavy favorite to go there. Abdul Carter to the Giants, it's minus 300.
Yeah.
Minus 225 for Will Campbell to the Patriots. And that's a pretty strong, because the other ones are a little bit easier, right? In terms of everyone is saying Ward's going to Tennessee because of the need for quarterback, and he's the best one, and that the other 2 guys are on a tier by themselves.
Yeah.
I don't think many people are saying Will Campbell is clearly the 3rd best position player in this draft. Not that people don't have him in the top 5, 6, whatever. But minus 225, and then the obvious one, Mason Graham, is the favorite of the Jags, but it's minus 130. So it's getting closer to even odds. Yeah. It's still leaning, that's saying more than 50% of the time we expect it to be Mason Graham. Ashton Genty to the Raiders, slightly less at minus 125. And then Armand Membo to the Jets is minus 115. And that is really kind of solidified over. And again, we don't know. Any of those teams could the Raiders and Jets be in play for Shedeur Sanders? Man, the closer we get to the draft, either somebody is doing some serious downplaying and it's seeping into everyone's thought processes, or there are just a lot of teams that Shedeur Sanders could be in for a big draft day slide. Like if the Saints don't take him at 9,
right?
Isn't that going to be the biggest red flag for his, the way he's seen throughout the National Football League?
Yeah, unless somebody wants to make some kind of move like Pittsburgh or something to move up at some point just to make sure.
Possibly.
Sure.
Like
that kind of thing could still be in play. But that was something we talked about a lot 3 weeks ago. Was the idea. It felt like Shedeur was slipping, and then it felt like he kind of resurged, and I don't know what exactly that had to do with, but it felt like that was a reality, like he was climbing back up.
Well, he did feel like he was slipping, and then we had Matt Miller on, and he had written in one of his notes columns that a scout told him the worst-kept secret of the league is that the Giants love Sanders, but that is truly the only place I've heard that.
Yeah.
Right, and I get it that they're going back, they're having another workout with him. They're also doing it with Tyler Shuck. Is it Quinn Ewers? They're doing it with several quarterbacks here in the last week.
Jalen Milroe, yeah.
Milroe's the other one. Okay. And obviously, you wouldn't think they're spending the third pick on Milroe or Shuck. So they're looking at those guys with their second pick, most likely. Jalen Walker, the likely pick to the Panthers, but you'd make some money on it. Because later you get one of the teams ahead of him could already take this guy off the board, but bet 100, you win 150 on Jalen Walker going to the Panthers. Sanders still is the betting favorite to go to the Saints. But you hear, they might like Jackson Dart more. And I don't know if anyone really knows that or if it's just rank speculation. I've heard Archie Manning went to Ole Miss and Jackson Dart goes to Ole Miss. Seriously, I've heard this and I mean,
okay.
So,
right.
You know what I mean? Do you realize that the Saints haven't taken a QB in the first round since Archie Manning? That's kind of crazy. And then Ashton Genty, which goes to show you how fragile all these predictions are. Ashton Genty, the favorite to go to the Bears, even though he's the favorite to go to the Raiders. If you're betting on it, there's no one more likely to go to the Bears, according to the odds makers.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's definitively going there, but you could bet 100 and win 300 if Genty is a selection by Chicago.
They're setting the floor for where they think Genty would go. It's what that feels like to me.
Basically. But it's interesting that he is the betting favorite at two different spots as separated by 4 picks in the top 10 right there. So, look, again, Mason Graham, don't hate it. Don't know if the Jags are as enamored. I saw Field Yates put his final top 200 list out there, his, quote, big board, had Mason Graham ranked 3rd overall. So, I mean, if the Jags feel that way about him, it shouldn't be a surprise or even a disappointment to anybody if he goes at that spot.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it's all going to work out.
And I wouldn't be disappointed. I would just be more juiced for Genty.
I get it.
Just because you're going to see the impact more visible. Again, I'm not the GM. My feeling more jazzed about something doesn't mean that I believe they should follow my emotions and draft accordingly. I'm just telling you that's how I feel. If it went that way.
Leonard Fournette was fun for 2 years.
And look, if they had taken McCaffrey instead of Fournette, and we got the full McCaffrey experience, maybe we would have felt that. I mean, Saquon was worth a pick in the top 5. There's certain guys that are. Will Genty be that? His college production says yes, but that's not a guarantee. And granted, again, Saquon didn't have the Eagle. He wasn't putting 2,000 up with the Giants. He's putting up 1,300, which is good. But, if you're getting
the best player on a bad team.
Absolutely. And, Genty would be one of the best players on this team immediately. Pretty much anybody you take at 5 should be one of the best players on this team when you're talking about winning the few amount of games that the Jags have done. Hayes Carion's had a front row seat to all that. He's going to join us next. What is he feeling the Jags are centering in on? What does he make of the latest news and conversation around Jarian Jones moving to the outside, at least according to himself? It seems like that's the plan for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What does that do for the Jags draft plans at cornerback? If anything, we'll discuss that more with the Hammer. Coming up next, Pete Prrisco. Next hour, Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Superior products, exceptional service.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Take us into the black hole. They may not be able to beam you into the future, but they can make your ride home a lot more fun. Frank French and Hayes Carion.
The Frangie Show.
Afternoons on 1010XL.
When you think of America, you think baseball, cookouts, military, and pride for our country. At Garber Auto Mall, we're proud to carry every American-made truck at one location. Ford, Chevy, GMC, Ram, and Jeep. With the largest inventory selection in North Florida, you can shop with one salesperson. Garber Auto Mall is proud to support our country, our military, and our community. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or at GarberAutomall.com. Garber Auto Mall. Proud to be American.
Jaguars Today, Thursday.
Brought to you by Cannons of Jacksonville.
Yo, it's your main man E.T. here, and it's time to make those summer break plans. Clay County is calling. From paddleboarding on Doctors Lake to reeling in the big one on Black Creek or cruising the St. Johns River. There's no better place to dive into warm weather fun. Enjoy live music, local festivals, food trucks, and fireworks lighting up the night. Discover scenic parks, hidden trails, and must-visit local gyms. Your summer adventures start here. Visit exploreclay.com.
At Diamonds Direct, we believe luxury is an experience and not a price tag. Luxury is expert guidance. It's the selection of 10 jewelry stores under one roof. It's saving time on endless comparison shopping, and you'll only find this experience at Diamonds Direct. Our luxury showroom has it all backed by our lifetime warranties and our signature best price guarantee. Diamonds Direct is the perfect combination of luxury and value, so you don't ever have to compromise. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Experience MJ the Musical at the Jacksonville Center for Performing Arts, April 22nd through 27th. For a chance to win tickets, text MJ Fans to the text line covered by Lifetime Flooring at 641-1010.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
All right, gentlemen, we've trained for this. We've battled the elements. But if there's one thing we can't afford, it's letting the heat take us out before the big game.
But Coach, the AC at my house is busted. I barely got any sleep last night.
Well, Johnson, you should have called Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. They're the real MVPs. Now let's cue the cool music.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. The coolest cats in town.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Dailies Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Dailies is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, I'm Malcolm Anthony. When you've been charged with a crime, you don't have to face it alone. I'm here for you. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me. 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW in the 904.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentist and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental with light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You can't touch this.
Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
It's hammer time. Haven't had the hammer on in a little bit here. Hayes Carion. It's a great time to have him join us a week out from the NFL draft from the Frangie Show. 1010XL's embedded Jaguar reporter, Mr. Carion. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Gentlemen, good morning to you all. We're a week away from new Jaguars. Love it.
We are. A bunch of new Jaguars incoming. Hayes, for you, what do you hope happens? Let's assume Hunter and Carter are gone along with Cam Ward. We don't know who the Patriots will take. Maybe it's Will Campbell. Maybe it's not. What's your top 3 wish list if you can't have Hunter or Carter for the 5th pick right now?
I would still go. I would go big. I mean, Ashton Genty is certainly exciting, and I'm sure he'll be a great pro. But I think when you're trying to set a tone and you're starting at ground zero, as Tony Baselli said on the hunt, I just think you got to go big. I mean, this team has been so finessed and just unable to win a street fight. And so for me, I would go Mason Graham at 5. I'd have no problem if Will Campbell's there, great. I'd have, I think for a curveball, Armand Membu can't be discounted. But I think it's got to be a big guy. They just are in so much of a need of becoming a tougher, more physical team. And I think in a bad division, of all these teams, whoever can build the toughest team next year, I think has a great chance to win a bad division. So I would go Mason. I'd probably go Will Campbell 1, but I don't think he'll be there. And then Graham and then Membu.
Hayes, first-time head coach and GM. As you said, a seemingly winnable division. No open question at quarterback for this roster. How bold do you expect them to be next week?
I don't think it'll be necessarily really bold. I mean, I don't think they'll trade up or anything. I think they like having the 10 picks and would even look to expand that number if a deal could be worked out. So, I mean, I think they've got so many areas that they need to address that, I think it'll be kind of what we're expecting, which is heavy on the trenches. They'll have to get definitely a D tackle, an edge guy. I think definitely one offensive lineman, and fairly high up. They'll have to get a receiver pretty high. At some point, you'd like to draft a running back, take advantage of how deep the class is. They need a corner. So I just think they have so much stuff that has to be addressed that it'd be hard for me to see them making some, bold move and, trading up to get back into the first round or, certainly trading up from 5. I think they'll look to move back. My guess is they won't be able to, and they'll, at least in the early portion of the draft. So I would anticipate them selecting 10 players, and I think all 10 players can absolutely make the 53.
And specifically the player they take at 5, Hayes, regardless of position, that guy has to start from the moment he gets here. Do you agree with that or not?
I absolutely agree with that.
Okay, so let's say it is a Will Campbell or an Armand Membo. Do we have a sense of what the Jags coaching staff and brain trust think about the incumbent starting offensive lineman that we have here now? And let's say it was Will Campbell. Do you think it's just obvious that Walker Little gets replaced? And then if so, whomever gets replaced, what happens to that guy?
I would think that if it's Campbell, I would think he's the left tackle, and then Walker Little and Ezra Cleveland probably battle it out at left guard, and the rest of your, center, right guard, right tackle is what we're expecting. Hainsey and Macari, and then Anton Harrison. If it's Mimbu, then I think you move Anton Harrison to left.
Mm-hmm.
Mimbu is your right tackle. And, you've got the same situation, Walker Little and Ezra Cleveland competing at left guard. And then, you center and right guard is locked in. But, I think offensive line is absolutely on the table at 5. I know they brought in 4 guys in free agency, but, let's just be honest. None of the 4 are tremendous players. So it's not like they're building blocks. Hainsey's a bridge center. Obviously 2 of the tackles are swing guys that they're hoping can, push the starters, motivate the starters, but probably not looking at either one of those guys being long-term starters. And Macari, is probably a good, 2-year answer, something like that at right guard. So, I still think in terms of the offensive line, they haven't brought anybody in this offseason that has the look of, a nucleus player for several years. So, yeah, I think tackle is certainly in play. And, again, to me, it's just, I think they've just been so finesse, and I just don't think that's how they're going to be in this administration. So, you can't fix everything in an off season, but you can fix the offensive line. And, if they bring in 4 free agents, which they've done, and they add, a high draft pick to that, that's certainly a reimagining of the offensive line in a very productive, positive way, I would say.
Well, if you want to be physical up front, Membo seems to be that type of guy, the mauler type guy. So let's say in that scenario, and they had him, whether at 5 or they move back a few spots, they draft him and they do play him at right tackle. Have you gotten any feedback other than what you're just presupposing? And we're all doing this. I'm not putting you in a bad spot here. Just that they like Anton Harrison that much more, that he would automatically be moved to left tackle and automatically that would demote Walker Little, or would that be a competition? Do we have any sense of what they think of Anton Harrison from the horse's mouth, in your opinion?
I would say that, both need to play better, but there's, I would say, more hope that Anton Harrison can be a higher quality starter than Walker Little at this point.
Who would you least like to see the Jags select at 5?
Probably Warren, just because and not that he can't be a good player, probably will be in the NFL, but, to take a tight end at 5, they seem really high on Brenton Strange, who's still a young guy. So, I'd probably like to see what Brenton Strange can do over this next year before I would invest that kind of draft ammunition on a tight end. So, I'd probably say Ty Warren is the one that I would be the most critical of. I'd be really surprised if that's where they land, but it has been, thrown out there.
Sure.
So that would be the one for me. If it's Jalen Walker, I understand that. If it's Genty is a little, I would not pick Genty at 5, but I could certainly understand why they would want to do that. Again, it's a bad division. If he's somebody that can come in and make that kind of immediate impact, and you feel good about the offensive line as you built it, then and maybe you're just looking for more of a natural guard, which you can find in certainly the 3rd round, then then maybe you're able to make that luxury pick and make a little bit more sense. But for me, I would go big guy, and I would say Warren would be the pick that would be the conundrum for me in terms of how could you justify doing this.
Yeah, it's tough because like running back is very deep, but Genty is supposed to be special. Defensive tackle is supposed to be very deep, and Mason Graham's considered the best of the bunch, and it's like you can look at either of those spots and go, well, we got a pretty good guy here at 36 or at 70 or whatever the case. But you mentioned going wide receiver early, and I think Tony and I agree if the opportunity is there. And it's been fashionable to see the Jags paired up with a guy like Emeka Egbuka in round 2. But if the guys who are talked about like Egbuka and Burden, Matthew Golden, are all gone by 36, is there a receiver, Jack Besh, anybody that you think is worth the 36 pick if the usual top 4 to 5 guys are off the board?
I would.
All right, I think we're losing Hayes there. See if you can get him worked out there. It sounded like he was leaning more towards the no option. I know, Tony, you're fine with Besh at 36 if it goes that way. Let's get all right, Hayes, we got you back here worked out. We're saying outside of the top 4 or 5 guys that are consistently mentioned as potential first-round players, who is the wide? Would you be comfortable with wide receiver if they're off the board at 36? And if not, what's your plan?
I wouldn't force it. If there's been a run, I'd go in a different direction, a corner, an edge, a D tackle. If you didn't take Mason Graham, somewhere in there. I think you can come back and with the 2 third-rounders and address receiver at that point and get pretty good value. So I don't think they need to force. I think they need to take a receiver before they get out of the 3rd round. But I don't think they have to force it at 36 if there's been a run. My guess is there will be a guy there at 36 that they like.
Mm-hmm.
But if there has been a run and there's a pretty big dip on their board, that would mean to me that there's a corner there that maybe you didn't expect. There's an edge guy there that maybe you didn't expect, or maybe there's an offensive lineman there if you didn't take one at 5 that would be better value. So I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to force it at 36 with a receiver.
Hey, so how would you prioritize the Jaguars' needs going into the draft?
I would say probably defensive tackle, offensive line, edge, corner, receiver, running back, tight end, something like that, safety.
Okay, well,
probably be how I would view it.
When you look at corner specifically for this team, you mentioned possibly, they're at 36 if the right guy's there. I'm not sure if you saw the clip that Jamal St. Cyr, Channel 4, posted on social media of an interview that's going to air next week with Jarian Jones. And Jones said when he met with the new coaching staff, he went to him and said, basically, I want to play cornerback, not nickel. In other words, outside corner. And that the staff said, yeah, that's what our plans are for you as well, which is the first time we're really hearing that spoken aloud. So how big of a need is that at that second corner spot? Are you confident Jarian Jones can handle that as the opening day starter and perhaps long-term running mate of Tyson Campbell?
Yeah, that was good work by Jamal. I saw that. And, I like Jarian. I think we talked, like last offseason, I thought Jarian would be the week 1 starter on the perimeter opposite Tyson Campbell, and obviously that didn't happen. So, yeah, I have faith in his ability to do that, but it's also a really premium position. And, I think if a good prospect is there, at 36, I would not be shy about adding that just because we still don't really know if,
right.
If Jarian can do it. And so I do think it's hilarious that, like, pretty much every defensive player that talks is like, well, yeah, I played a position last year I didn't want to play. And now I'm going to play the position I want to play. So it's kind of been a funny reoccurring theme. But I get it, with Jarian. And I think he can play on the perimeter. But that wouldn't stop me from taking if there was a really good guy at 36. Wouldn't stop me because it's just such an important position, and other than Jarian, I don't think they have much there. So, I think it would make some sense to. Plus, you also, in terms of Tyson, you've had durability issues there.
Right.
So, I think it's a pretty big need.
Hayes, does it feel good to be intangibly curious? And what else did you take out of the pre-draft luncheon on Tuesday?
Yeah, well, it's certainly an unorthodox approach. That's not to say it's wrong, at all, but, to obviously not want to bring prospects in for visits, to not want to conduct a local pro day, is unlike what the majority of teams do. But James Gladstone has his process, and he deserves to be able to operate that process as he sees fit. And then, we'll see as the results come in, how that works. But so I think it's really interesting just hearing about the ways in which they go about executing their draft plan. And, now we'll see, the dividends of that, if they're big or if they're puny. But I think it's exciting. It is certainly a totally new vision, and it feels like the Jaguars are on the cutting edge of things, both front office wise and coaching staff wise. And, they're inexperienced, but hopefully they've got the right innovation to combat that inexperience and, really lead the Jaguars to some great places over the next several years.
Well, obviously, we won't know any of this until we see it play out, right? But that doesn't really work for sports radio, Hayes. So we're gonna have to figure out along the way what we think is going to happen. Obviously, that's what we do on a daily basis. And I do think you're right. We should, to some degree, give them the benefit of the doubt. They haven't proven to be incompetent on any level yet. So let's hope that this non-Balky-led administration does the right things, and they're not going to hit on every pick, and they're not going to pick every player that we want next week. So we'll see how it all works out. What's coming up today on the Franchi Show?
All that. We are definitely going to be draft bonanza from here on out, with us being thankfully now a week away from this. So we'll get into all that, and it should be a lot of fun.
All right, brother. Well, we always appreciate it, and we'll look forward to maybe catching up with you for a few minutes next week before the first pick's made to get your final official prediction on what the Jags are going to do.
Anytime. I always enjoy it. You guys do a fantastic job. Love listening, and thanks for having me on.
All right, pal. There he goes. Hayes Carion, who you'll find at his name on social media, Carlyon. Of course, every afternoon on the Franchi Show as well. And one of our 1010XL embedded Jaguar reporters right there, Tone. So, look, I don't think anything really shocking or surprising there. Hayes thinks they'll go big guy, and likely that sounds like Mason Graham, because he thinks Will Campbell will be off the board at that spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The betting markets agree right now.
Yes, they do.
And, I do think the closer you get, you start to get more solidified intel. At least those people do. At least we are on the receiving end of it. We're not out there trying to suss out what the New York Jets general manager is thinking right now. It's just a matter of when you get this much reporting over and over. There are always surprises, but right now folks feeling like the top 7 picks are maybe not locked in, but getting close to predictable.
Yeah, we at least know Mason Graham has a Salute to Service Jaguar shirt.
He does have that.
We know that.
And that versions of that video disappeared shortly after off the internet. Others remained up. I don't know. I don't know.
He's wearing the shirt. We know that.
He's wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
What if he goes to the Patriots at 4, right? He'll get a Patriots shirt.
It doesn't have to mean anything, but it might.
It might.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't, right? For
it's draft season, man.
We don't know if they'll even be there.
It all means something, or it doesn't.
Or it doesn't. It means absolutely nothing. All right. Next hour, Pete Prrisco. He's about 25 minutes away. Tony will take us around the rest of the NFL, find out what teams are up to as they prepare 7 days out from the 2025 NFL Draft. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Proud to say I chose Pella for my own home. My home looks great. It's super energy efficient now. And I had 0% financing for 60 months. That's right, 5 years of interest-free payments with Pella. You can get it right now on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't trust me. Trust Consumer Reports. They tell you Pella ranks #1 in all the major window categories. You find them online and schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or stop by their showroom on Phillips Highway. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
First of all, congratulations on the show.
Join the 1010XL Podcast Network.
How do you like being in a real studio?
Now you can find all your favorite 1010XL podcasts in your platform of choice.
MOV, ING, Southside Kia is moving. Our moving sale is on right now. Help us clear new Kias out. Our current selection's got 200 plus Kias on the lot. Hurry to save big with us. New rides starting at just $20,000 bucks. Plus, bring your tax refund today. We'll double it up to $5K. MOV, ING, get to Southside Kia this spring. Online at SouthsideKiaJax.com. Get your next ride at Southside. For complete details, call 904-325-9208.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
You're locked in to Jaguars Today Thursday with
Cannons of Jacksonville.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Get ready for the best prices ever on all diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets at Beard's Diamonds. For 7 days, April 21st through 27th, you will get up to 40% off. Yes, 40%. Locally owned Beard's Diamonds always beats the big corporate store prices. But next week, they're taking value to a whole new level. All diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets are on sale. Big time. Best prices ever. You save up to 40%. Don't miss this first time ever buying opportunity. Next week only, and only at Beard's Diamonds, St. John's Town Center. Shop local, shop Beard's.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
Are you ready for some exciting football action? Your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates Saturday, April 19th. Get family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for only $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. A fun night for the kids. Get tickets at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Prosser here. The Jacksonville Sharks are 3-0 and ready to make it 4-0 this weekend as your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates this Saturday. Get our family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for just $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. And go Sharks! Go Sharks!
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
When it comes to my opinion, I love dropping the hammer. I'm Hayes Carion. Listen for Hammer Time with Hayes weekdays on The Frangie Show.
Hammer Time with Hayes, driven by Southside Kia. Online at SouthsideKiaJax.com.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet cleaner. You'll get 25% off all cleaning services. That's right, 25% off. Check out 8,000 raving customer reviews if you don't believe me online. Call them, 904-287-5727, or visit their website, ZeroResJacksonville.com. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update brought to you by Clay Solar Installation Partners. The Jacksonville University Dolphins baseball team is set to begin their ASUN Conference Weekend Series against FGCU starting tonight at the John Sessions Stadium. The Dolphins enter the series with a 19-16 overall record and a 9-6 mark in ASUN play. First pitch is set for 7 o'clock. The Orlando Magic have clinched the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference after their big win over the Atlanta Hawks the other night and are set to face the 2nd-seeded Boston Celtics in the first round of the 2025 NBA playoffs, with the series set to tip off this Sunday at 3:30. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, who are on the road this week in Memphis, suffered their second loss of their 6-game series against the Memphis Redbirds last night, 6-4, and will now move to Game 3 tonight at 7:45. It's 76 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
This is either one of the best polls we've done, Tony, with the Chad and Sandy Real Estate Question Day, or one of the worst because there's no clear-cut number 2 pass catcher for this football team. That may be the way you want to interpret this one today. Assuming good health, who will be the second most productive pass catcher after Brian Thomas Jr. for the Jaguars in 2025 among wide receivers and tight ends. And you can define most productive as catches, yards, touchdowns, a combination, whatever you feel. Who do you think is going to be the most impactful? Your options, De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington, Brenton Strange, or a rookie wide receiver or tight end. Somebody mentioned Hunter Long as a dark horse. I'd be shocked. I know he's a productive receiver in college, but, you know, and Cade Otton has been brought up because he had 87 catches last year, and I had to look up the exact percentage. 31 of those catches, 35% of his productivity came in 3 games. And that's when both Evans and Godwin were out at that point in time. And Jalen McMillan was your top receiver, and he was a rookie. So, you know, yes, it did work out that way. And I think under a similar circumstance, you could see Brenton Strange get peppered with targets here. But
yeah, he had 40 last year, so
40 catches.
Catches.
Yes, right. So, you know, we'll see. I'm not voting Brenton Strange. We'll unveil our vote here coming up in a moment. First, what's up with the other 31 teams as they all prepare for next week's NFL draft? Tony Smith will tell you.
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Chicago and linebacker TJ Edwards have agreed to terms on a 2-year, $20 million deal. Cincinnati is signing quarterback Logan Woodside to a 1-year deal. New York Giants general manager Joe Shane said yesterday that they will make decisions on whether or not they will be picking up the 5th-year options on defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau and offensive lineman Evan Neal after the draft. The deadline for those options to be picked up is May 1st. Shane also said that the Giants would play Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball if they were to draft him next week. And Baltimore general manager Eric DeCosta was non-committal about tight end Mark Andrews remaining with the team as he is entering the final year of his contract there, saying, quote, "I never know what's going to happen, and I would never want to say this or that, but I can tell you this, Mark Andrews is a warrior. He's played his butt off for us," end quote.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Giants are making a big deal. Maybe not making a big deal. You know, we make a big deal out of the quotes, but there's a quote out there about how, hey, we'll use Travis Hunter both ways. What is the point of is that just they're asked and they're answering their question.
That feels to me like one of those.
Right.
Like
Or-
Travis Hunter said yesterday that if he's going to play in the league, he wants to play both ways.
Or else he'll retire.
Right,
which-
like that kind of
Sure
thing.
you will,
You know,
Travis.
what was your reaction to that? He's like, we'll play him both ways.
Or could there be part of that being a message like, hey, Travis, if you're not sure about this with Cleveland, send the word. Don't take me. And he is kind of taking it, putting that out there. Like, if you're not going to play me both sides, I'd rather retire. I love football so much that I'd rather play no football than some football. Doesn't really jibe with me. All right. I mean, because
he enjoys fishing.
That
As everyone's learned here
NIL
in the
money
last
is
day,
gone.
too.
He
Yeah.
does. He likes bass. He's a good bass fisher, apparently. So, anyway, over at ESPN, was it Ben Solak did a thing yesterday about basically the perfect draft scenario for every team. Let me see if I can bring up the Jags right here. But he brought up a particular name, one that I haven't heard necessarily associated with Jacksonville, or really even that position that heavily associated with the Jaguars, with the exception of Jalen Walker. That, of course, is linebacker. Lists all the picks, what they're strong at. Jags edge duo, too good for their line play to be as poor as it is. They need help at defensive tackle, and Mason Graham seems like an obvious pick. Okay. He says, I like Jag cornerback room better than most. Jarian Jones, who performed delightfully as a rookie nickel corner. All right. That's, hear that descriptor all the time. Should transition well to the outside. And if you missed it, we've been highlighting today Jamal St. Cyr, Channel 4, did an interview with Jarian Jones where he posted a clip on this as a teaser for next week when I think they're going to air the full interview. And Jones said, I went to the coaching staff when I met the new ones, including Coach Campanile, that I want to play corner. In other words, outside corner, not just nickel. And they said basically good. That's what we want for you as well. So Solak says if a corner falls to the Jags at 36, that's fine too. But I have my eyes on a linebacker. Where Devin Lloyd is approaching a contract year, Foye Oluokun is approaching his age 30 season. That'll be this year. He turns 30 in August, I think. Carson Swessinger, Tony, would be an excellent pick at the top of round 2 as a high-ceiling coverage linebacker to replace Lloyd. The Jags could improve along the offensive line and tight end as well, blah, blah, blah. But likes the idea of Swessinger. I've actually heard that he has become like a less talked about dark horse to actually get drafted in the first round this year. So it's not like those are the only the Jags would be the only team maybe considering him in that range. But, boy, we have not really focused on linebacker as being a big need for this team, at least in the short term, for the long term. And, again, Jalen Walker could be a different story because he gives you that edge rush potential on top of maybe some first and second down work as a stand-up linebacker. But how would you feel in general about the linebacker position getting addressed at 36?
Not something that, again, I've considered all that much.
Right. It wouldn't excite me a bunch. Doesn't mean it would be necessarily a bad play.
Yeah. But I've expressed how comfortable I am with Jalen Walker, but he feels more like an edge guy as much as he's a linebacker. So, especially where he'd be different. I'm not here or there. I'm not committed to that, or it wouldn't upset me all that much. Like, I would understand it, right, from their perspective, especially if he's the guy that's getting some consideration in the first round, at this point. But that could be said about any of 50 names.
Right, exactly. And is he only getting that consideration because it's an overall weaker draft class?
Yeah. Like, I've kind of moved past that's kind of the best thing for me is, okay, so he's in that big group of 70 guys, and he's at the position that I want to prioritize.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
By the way, Solak loves Besh as well, and he lists starting defensive tackle, starting receiver, and potential starter at linebacker as his priority list for the Jags. And I can get that. Like, right now, you can make the argument, hey, maybe they think their offensive line is pretty good right now. They added 4 guys, right? 2 starters and 2 depth pieces at tackle who've played in the league. So,
if they brought in a guy that was going to compete to be a starter somewhere on the interior line and it may not happen until 26, I'd be okay.
Yeah. But if you take a linebacker at 36, that dude better be on the field.
He's starting.
I mean, better be on the field for this football team. All right, let's get to today's 10-10 take. Dylan.
10-10 Take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 Take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
Sometimes I hate voting for the top responded answer here because you feel like you're just following the crowd, but I'm not doing that today for sure. De'Ami Brown getting the most votes in our poll today. Chad and Sandy real estate question today, assuming good health. Who will be the second most productive pass catcher after Brian Thomas? I mean, look, they came out and told you, we want to get touches for everybody. I don't think any of these guys is going to be a focal point, any of the incumbent players of the passing game. Maybe in a given game plan, in a given week. Not voting for De'Ami Brown, not voting for Parker Washington. Wouldn't vote for Gabe Davis. I think they'll chop it up to some degree. Brenton Strange, maybe as it stands now, and if you told me they didn't draft any tight ends, then he would move into a stronger position as a possibility. But I would bet right now, and this is me thinking that they'll spend one of those first 3 picks on the wide receiver position, either 36 or 70, not 5, on a rookie wide receiver. And that guy, if you're taking him at 36, should be starting on day 1. And so I'm voting for a rookie wide receiver or tight end myself to be the most productive pass catcher among the wide receivers and tight ends after Brian Thomas.
Yeah, I would too. And that's a lot because I'm betting that that's what they're going to do, is draft a wide receiver in either the second or third round, and that he would be the starter opposite BTJ in all. That's essentially what he would be, and De'Ami Brown would be the third, fourth, whatever. Like, right. That's okay, but that's what I would guess was going to happen. If they don't do that, then I'd probably go De'Ami Brown, but it would be a real thin margin.
Yeah, I'd probably go Brenton Strange, but that would change as soon as they potentially draft a tight end, if they were to go that route. Right now, De'Ami Brown getting 30%, Brenton Strange 25.6, 22.8 for the rookie, and 21.7 going to Parker Washington. So still very close. If you haven't voted, go to @MD_1010XL on the Twitter or X platform. Pete Prrisco, CBS Sports, straight ahead, talking draft on Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Brunell. Hi, I'm Mark Brunell.
On the fade. Touchdown to Jimmy Smith.
You have found the best Jaguars coverage in Jacksonville on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Tailgaters parking season passes are on sale now. Secure your Jaguar season parking today. Enjoy indoor restrooms, a full-service bar and grill, access 4 hours before kickoff. Visit tailgatorsparking.com and book your space today.
Jaguars Today Thursday, brought to you by Cannons of Jacksonville.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a Kuhn floral arrangement. RJ here with 1010XL, and you'll be assured of a quality delivery. That's for sure. Log on and order online at kuhnflowers.com.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
To catch more fish, you gotta think like a fish. Captain Kevin and the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show, reeled in by the Pest Pros at Royal Pest Services, and Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
The restaurant of the day is the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill. Get a Greek Feast family combo meal tray with chicken skewers, gyro meat, gomades, and more. Feed 4 to 6 people for just $49.95. Feed 8 to 10 for just $99.95. The Great Greek Mediterranean Grill.
Looking for a great place to enjoy some craft creations and soak up some scenery? Fernandina's Mocama Beer Company is a must-see and must-try. Nassau County knows it. Visitors need to find out about it. Mocama means near the big water where the sun is born. And if you visit their tap room in Fernandina Beach, you'll see how they've mastered equal parts precision and art in creating great flavors from IPAs to Pilsners, lagers, and sours, plus plenty more. Mocama.com. Mocama Beer Company. Start an adventure and find them in Fernandina.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
DUI, BUI, don't stress. Call me Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
1010XL's draft previews are brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northeast Florida. Be a big.
If Liam Cohen is looking to replicate what he had in Tampa Bay with a pair of talented receivers, the 6'4" Ted McMillan would be amazing to pair with Brian Thomas Jr. McMillan is a possession receiver with the size and ball skills to create big wins deep. He also has a knack for adjusting his routes and working back on throws, which would certainly make Trevor Lawrence's job a whole lot easier.
Hey gang, Prosser here, and it's always great when you can replace a problem with a promise. And let me get right down to it. When it comes to Chad and Sandy and selling your home, here's a promise that you can count on. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Now, more. Spring selling season is here. Rates are down. Activity's up. Now's the best time in years to sell your home. Some homes are sitting on the market, though, and hiring an expert who can maximize your equity and minimize hassle is the key. Those expert agents, and I'm recommending them to sell your home, Chad and Sandy Newman. There have been lots of you out there on the First Coast who are taking advantage. Take David and Heather in Fox Ridge. This is out in Orange Park. We wanted to move to Keystone Heights to get closer to family, away from the city. We heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. What you hear is true. We got multiple offers and sold in 3 days for $15,000 above asking price. Call the local experts I trust and recommend to sell my home and yours. Call Chad and Sandy, 414-6200, ChadAndSandy.com.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise in towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right. The one, the only Pete Prrisco, CBS Sports senior NFL writer, joining Jaguars Today right now. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith here with you. Pete, good morning. How are you?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Excellent. Is this actually Pete Prrisco, though, Tony? Based on a recent tweet here, I'm not sure. Pete Prrisco says, I don't like taking a running back in the first 10 picks, but Ashton Genty is special. Even so, it'd be tough to do because of position value and length of career. Then again, he would help QBs like Drake May and Trevor Lawrence, and they're no slam dunk guys at 4 and 5. Pete Prrisco, noted wait on drafting a running back guy. Should and is Ashton Genty in play for the Jaguars at 5?
Should he be? Yes. Is he? I'm not sure, but I just been talking to people at the league meetings and around. I would say that he is certainly going to be in play. Again, running back to me, I think you can find them. You can get this draft is deep in them. Would I probably wait? Yes. But I will say this. What are you passing on him for? And the reason I bring that up is if you're sitting, let's play it out.
Okay.
The two guys that everybody wants are Hunter and Carter. They're going to be gone.
Yeah.
Okay? Both of them. What do you do at 5 in that scenario? I mean, Mason Graham's name has been mentioned a bunch with Jacksonville. He's the current favorite to go there. I like Mason Graham. I don't love Mason Graham. Mason Graham is not a big guy. He is on the ground a lot. I think there's other concerns about him as well. And so you look at it, you go, okay, Mason Graham, normally I would say take Mason Graham, get the big guy. But he's not really a big guy. He's not a big guy. He's a smallish defensive interior player. And so there is some concern there. Then you go to the rest of those guys that are potential. The Walker kid is interesting. Again, you're taking an off-the-ball linebacker on a team that had a bunch of them, and what do you do with them? Do you put them on the end in passing situations and move Trayvon Walker inside? So there's that possibility. Will Campbell, to me, he's a guard. I don't think they draft him there, and that spot's not worth it. So Membo is personally, I think Membo's a little overrated. I think he's got great athletic ability, but he's a little overrated because he's on the ground a lot. He's not a great player. He's not a great finisher. So what happens if you're stuck there at 5? What do you do? You ideally, you'd like somebody to come up and go get that.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you do if you're stuck there? And I think if you're stuck there, the 3 best players in this draft, and I don't think there's any debate about it, are Travis Hunter 1, Carter 2, and Genty 3. So if you're stuck there, I'm okay with taking Genty.
Interesting. Now, you in your most recent mock a few days ago had Chicago trading up to get Genty ahead of the Raiders, which makes sense if you really want Genty. That seems to be the paired landing spot with Vegas. Pete, Tony and I debated this a couple weeks ago. Who do you think is the player most likely to induce a trade up to 5? Is it Genty? Is it Shedeur Sanders? Or is it somebody else?
I think it's Genty.
You do?
I think it is Genty. And by the way, I don't think there's much, really intent. People intending to move up to go get anybody, to be honest with you. I'm hearing there's not a lot of activity on that front. So I don't think that's probably going to happen, although you hear Ben Johnson loves Genty. When you look at Genty and you put him in that offense, what is that offense missing? It's missing that guy. And so I think from that standpoint, it makes some sense. But you could also sit there and say, if you're Chicago, I can take a player with my pick and then come back in the second round and get a guy like maybe Henderson or somebody.
Right.
So you can do it 2 different ways. So I think there's also that theory as well. But to me, Genty is the class of the running backs. The problem is there's a lot of them. And so you can sit there and say we can wait. So I understand that. But I'm telling you, Mike, there are certain guys in this league that you look at him and you go, he's going to be a big-time runner. Now, you might only get him for 5 years, 6 years or whatever. But he's going to be a big-time runner. Maurice Jones-Drew, faster, one of those guys. I think he can be truly a special player.
Why would Mason Graham be a good pick at 5?
Well, he's a big body. They need help on the interior. He can push the pocket. He's got great hands, and he plays hard all the time. My concern with Mason Graham is this the ceiling? In other words, is he going to get that much better? And then people say, well, look what Fisk did for the Rams. Well, Fisk wasn't a top 5 pick. If that's what you're comparing him to, he's not a top 5 pick. He's a good player, but he's not a dominant, wreck the game kind of player, I don't think. And that's my worry with him. But he is polished. He knows how to play. His hands are unreal, and he plays hard all the time. Look, as a wrestler, it's hard to. He doesn't back down, and that's a good thing. But again, would it be a good pick? Yeah. And normally I'd sit there and say, you know me, get big guys. There's only so many of them that can play the game. But I don't necessarily think if you pass on a big guy to get a star running back in this scenario, that's a bad thing, because I don't think it's a big guy that's a slam dunk. And by the way, on either the offensive or defensive line.
Pete Prrisco here with us from CBS Sports. Pete, one big guy that you like a lot is Josh Simmons, the tackle out of Ohio State. You think he's the best tackle in this class. He obviously comes in with the injury concern hanging over him and, the timeline for when he'll be available. And I think you tweeted something to the effect of if he were cleared medically, the Patriots should consider him at 4. Should the Jaguars consider him at 5 or maybe after a trade down into the 10 to 12 range?
Here's why it's different, I think, for Jacksonville. I mean, Gladstone's making his first pick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're making your first pick. You don't want to take it on somebody that might have some questions, I think. And I think that, you want to make sure that it's a hit at that first pick. I don't think you can blow that. It kind of goes back to when Coughlin made his first pick. He didn't blow it. He picked Baselli. You want to make sure it's not, even if it's not sexy, you want to make sure it's a hit. And so from that reason, I don't think it would be. But, Mike, he's the best tackle. He's the best offensive lineman. There are some teams that have concerns about his character as well. He even admitted in interviews that he had maturity issues. But I tell you what, he's worked out his pro day. He's going to be ready. And when he's on the field, he's 320 pounds, and he moves like a kid who's 250 pounds. And he's clearly, to me, the best left tackle. So if you move down, would I consider it? Absolutely. But I also think there's some of that. This is your first draft. You have to get a guy that's kind of automatically going to be in plug and play and get ready to go.
Pete, if they don't take an offensive lineman, they're at 5. Who are some of the guys on the offensive line that you think they would most like to see available on day 2?
Well, I think you got to look at some of the guards. I think, maybe not day 2. Yeah, second, third round. You get Ratledge at Georgia, Fairchild at Georgia. I think those are 2 guys to keep an eye on. I don't think that, there's also the chance if you like somebody at the back end of the first round, I fell to him, you could always give up something and go back in to try and get one if you really like one. But I think you're looking at some of the interior guys. You look at that offensive line, guys, there's competition across the board. I don't think anybody's got a spot. I mean, you'd like to think that the 2 guys that they paid are going to be one's going to be the center, one's going to be the guard, whichever guard is going to be. And then, you'd think Harrison will be the right tackle, but I think the other jobs are all up for grabs. And I even think if somebody could push Harrison, if he doesn't play very well. So I think across the board, you could look for guys to get some help on the interior. If there's a guy you really like, you got to draft him. They don't have young developmental guys, and therefore I think they need to get 1 or 2 on the interior at some point.
You like Jonah Monheim is the best center in the class, ahead of Jared Wilson, right?
Yeah, and they're close, but the thing about Monheim is, and I studied his game against Michigan because I wanted to watch him against those 2 defensive tackles. Now, Graham got a sack on him when he came around. Monheim kind of drove him out of the play, and he came around the back from San Diego to get the sack, so it was an effort sack. He beat him one time with a great move on the interior where Monheim was on the ground. But Monheim, I'd say, was even Steven when they matched up against him. And when he was matched up against Grant, I thought he actually handled Grant in a lot of situations. So I like to go watch good on good, and he was good against both those guys. And look, he didn't dominate either one of them, but he more than held his own against both.
How do you rank the wide receivers in this class yourself, Pete? And which of these guys do you expect to still be available at 36?
Travis Hunter, number 1 by far and away. I think he's the number 1 receiver, and I think he is a receiver. I initially thought he was going to be a corner, and I think he can play corner, but he's going to be a great receiver. I think Golden is number 2. I'm not as high on McMillan as others, and I think you're starting to hear that around the league. Teams have he's fallen down a little bit. He's not a great, when it run away from guys. He doesn't have great speed. History tells you look at those 4-6 guys, 4-5-8 guys, they have problems. He can catch the football. He does come back to the football. He runs good routes. He's going to be a 50-50 guy, but I have him down. I think, Ibuka's the one that people are sleeping on. I think he's a guy later in the first round that somebody's going to get themselves one heck of a football player.
If the Jags were to trade up into the first round, let's presume they take Mason Graham, first of all, at 5, okay? Because there are some interesting defensive tackles. I mean, like Derek Harmon, if he's in the right spot, and Walter Nolan, who, you could maybe move up for if you don't go Graham. But if they take Graham, which position or specific player would you be most satisfied if the Jags made a move up from 36? Like, I know you think they're going to hang on to their capital, but if they were to get aggressive, is it for one of the receivers who's sliding? Is it for something else?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, if Ibuka was there, I would consider him. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to catch a ton of passes his entire career. He's never going to be a burner down the field, but he's going to be a productive player. And you have that big play guy, so why not go get a guy that can do that other stuff? And I think he can be that type of guy if he was there. I also think, when you look at what they need on defense, if they get Mason Graham, they could also look for a corner at some point, if one fell. I mean, I don't know if one will fall, but I think Maxwell Hairston is a steal for whoever gets him in this draft. And if he somehow fell, I think he'd be a guy you could maybe go up and look for and get him in that kind of scenario. I think what they need to get out of this draft, Mike, they need to get an interior, whatever way they get it, an interior defensive lineman, an interior offensive lineman, maybe two, a wide receiver, and then, the secondary has to be addressed.
Another edge.
Yeah, and a young edge too. That's why the Walker kid is interesting, because he can rush the passer off the edge, even if he's an off-the-ball linebacker. You could make him like a joker, move him around, and he can do a lot of different things. And you put him on third down, you put his hand on the ground, you move Trayvon Walker inside, you get guys that can go up the field. So I get it. I think they need a lot of things, but again, you don't have to force any of them. That's the good thing. They address a lot of those needs in free agency, and they don't have to force those picks.
Among the options that we all expect them to have at 5 on Thursday, Pete, who is your favorite pick for the team?
You know what? Somebody asked me that on Twitter, and I said, what would you do in this bit? I said I'd bitch that I'm not in the top 3.
I saw that. Yes, I saw that. But hey, we got that meaningful win against the Titans late in the season, so it's okay.
Yeah, right. That really helped them.
They'd be picking number 1, Pete, and then either Cleveland or the Giants would be paying them off to drop back and get one of Hunter or Abdul Carter is where we'd be at right now. Yeah.
Of course. And instead they're sitting there in no man's land, which is, I don't know, Mike. Tony, I don't know. It's a hard question because I don't love Membo. I think Will Campbell's a guard. The tight ends, too high for them, and I don't think that's necessarily something you're going to make a focus of this offense early. Where do you – Graham I don't love. Walker, I like Walker. I think Walker's the 4th best player in the draft, by the way. I think, he has a chance. But, again, where do I go? I look, it sounds like a luxury pick, and it goes against everything I believe in, but I really do think Genty is special. I might take him and just say, hey, run the ball, take the pressure off the quarterback, and then take those big shots down the field to Brian Thomas and just work it out from there. Because there is nobody at 5 that makes me want to say, I won't take that back. There isn't. And so that's why I think they're kind of going through that process right now, and that's where they are. I think that's the mechanism right now is, do you take the back? And if you do, what's the perception of it? Because I don't think there's a slam dunk guy for them to take at 5.
Yeah, I don't know about the percent. I'll tell you this. I see a lot of Jag fans saying, and I kind of feel the same way, that may not be the most logical, like the absolute thing I would do there, but I wouldn't be upset with it. You know what I mean? Like they say they want to help Trevor Lawrence by improving the running game. I don't know if there's a single player that improves your running game more than adding Ashton Genty this offseason. And we understand he's got to have an offensive line and all that. But we have worn down Pete Prrisco to the point where he is thinking it's maybe the right pick.
Mike, by the draft. I'm frustrated by the fact that there aren't that many top-tier players. And the guys that people think that are top-tier players, I don't. It's just when I do my evaluation, I go in thinking, okay, I'm going to like this guy a great deal. And then the more I do, and don't get me wrong, you know how negative I am. The more I watch these guys, the more flaws I find, and I kind of pick them apart. But I don't. Would you guys be happy? Will Campbell's going to be a really good player, but is he ever going to be, all-pro every year kind of left tackle? The answer to that, to me, is no. I think he's more Matt Light, Sam Baker left tackle. He's going to be a good, productive player. But do you draft that number 5?
Well, no, if that's what you think of him, and it depends on what the Jags front office, obviously.
I think in this draft, Pete, you went through the whole thing. I think in this draft, you have to be able to settle for someone that's not going to be that. They're not there at 5. They're just not in this draft.
What do you? I'm curious. What do you do in this today?
I'm probably best right now. I am best offensive lineman. If they have, if you take an offensive lineman there, you have to have a plan for where you're going to play him right away, because you could roll out the 5 that they have right now.
Yeah.
You know, but
well, I think if they drafted Campbell, he's the left guard starter. That's what he is.
Okay.
I think he's the left guard.
People have brought up,
fine.
you know, Grant Udinsky was there in Minnesota when they gave up on Ezra Cleveland. So
right. and Cleveland doesn't fit what they want to do. He's not a different
he's not a
style.
mauler. Yeah.
I bounce back and forth between Graham and Genty in my head, Pete. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's probably between Graham and Genty. I don't love McMillan. I think that's out of the equation. I don't, the tight ends don't really do a lot for me in terms of that, for that offense and where they are. To me, it's probably going to come down to Genty and Graham, or if you want, and there are reasons for it, the Walker kid.
Yeah.
Now he was hurt, so there's some concerns about that, but. If you could, how many linebackers? It's a running joke. I always make the joke about how many linebackers the other guy drafted. But when you look at it, Luakon paid a lot, getting up in the years. The other Lloyd
didn't pick up the 5th-year option. Yep.
Muma has been a non-factor, and Ventrell Miller's a run stuffer. So it's not like they're loaded at the position even after using all the assets to get him. And this kid's different. He can run. You can move him on the edge. You can create different defenses and ways to use him. So if he checks out, I think he would be a guy that you would consider in that spot as well.
All right, Pete, unfortunately for us and our audience, we're out of time. I know you'll be on the Frangie show tomorrow. You've got 2 mocks next week, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tuesday and Thursday, coming out of
Correct.
CBS Sports.
Who they should mock, and you'll know who I think they should at number 5.
Gotcha. and in addition to that, Pete's better than list of guys that aren't getting as much hype but are better than some of the more hyped players at their positions is out at CBSSports.com as well. Pete, we appreciate it. All the best. And, thanks for the visits this draft season. We'll look forward to catching up with you sometime after the draft to analyze what the Jags accomplished.
And yes, Jacksonville, that was me talking about a running back.
Unbelievable. All right. This is going to run as a promo for years and years to come. We'll see you, buddy.
Right,
thanks, man.
See ya.
At Prrisco CBS is where you'll find Pete on Twitter. Got to take a quick break, come back with some thoughts on that. That was a juicy one right there. If you missed any of Pete Prrisco, you can always go back and listen on demand. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey talking about digging into something. How about a delicious sandwich from Dandy? Lunchtime is right around the corner. You know what? Maybe you don't have dinner plans. On the way home, swing into an area gate station, fill up your tank if you need a little gas, and get a little fuel for your belly as well. And know that Dandy makes all of their offerings with the highest quality ingredients they can find. It's a commitment to excellence with Dandy. Locally sourced as often as possible. They give you great variety, and they keep the prices in a reasonable range. All those boxes are checked. Super convenient on top of that. Just swing into a gate station, head to the fresh case. You're going to find over 30 different varieties from Danny in the Anytime Deli line of sandwiches and subs, breakfast items, protein packs, fruit cups, veggie trays, you name it. You want quick, wholesome food on the go. Dandy and the Anytime Deli labels, started by the Thompson family, a local Jacksonville company. That's the way to go in Duval. When you're hungry, folks, do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
In your car or out of your car.
Get me out of this car.
Take 1010XL with you wherever you go.
We're online and ready.
By downloading our free 1010XL app. Available for all smartphones and tablets. Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Imagine enjoying the beautiful days of summer in North Florida, relaxing in your enclosed patio, free from bugs and debris. I'm Josh Molina, owner of River City Screens. We are your trusted local screen experts. We pride ourselves in our craftsmanship and our relationships, because with Florida's unpredictable weather, you'll want someone dependable and reliable to show up for you every time. New construction or repairs, call River City Screens. 904-923-3544.
License number SCC 131153483.
Your tax refund is here. Why not invest in your home? Superior Fence and Rail helps you build value with beautiful, durable fences that boost your home security, privacy, and curb appeal. With expert installation and financing options, turning your yard into an outdoor oasis is easier than ever. Reinvest in your home today with Superior Fence and Rail.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Jaguars Today Thursday is towed by Cannons of Jacksonville for all your towing needs.
E.T. here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days than bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find Scratch Kitchen that always comes in the clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Hit a home run for happy hour and ask your Twin Peaks girl about local specials on drafts, cocktail shots, and more. Come on, somebody.
Joe C. for Florida Home AC, and now's the time to tune up that heating and AC unit. Take advantage of their $69 seasonal tune-up special. Keep warm in the winter and cool in the summer with Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars.
If you miss an interview, it'll be waiting for you on demand.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Search where you find podcasts. And at 1010XL.com. Trained by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck.
Direct from Broadway, MJ, the Tony Award-winning musical, is starting something all across America. Get tickets now to what the Washington Post calls a runaway hit. MJ the Musical, playing Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts, April 22nd through 27th. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
All right, down the stretch we go on Jaguars Today, just a week out, or a week from now at least, Tony. It'll be over for us, all except for the picking, 8 o'clock next Thursday night. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, we still are not sure what they're going to do. But, man, if Pete Prrisco, put it this way, is at least 1 foot on board with Ashton Genty going to the Jaguars, you know we are living in interesting times.
Yes, we are.
Right now. And Pete's right, though. You know, maybe you wait, if you want to get Ashton Genty, maybe you wait till the third round and get a really good back. That's not Ashton Genty, but, in combination with what you can get. But if there's not that special player, and I don't know if the Jags feel the same way about Mason Graham, that he's, too undersized or whatever the case. It's not like Pete said that Mason Graham would be a horrible pick. He just doesn't think he's a special player.
I don't think there are special players in this draft outside of those three.
A couple of guys. Right.
Yeah.
I think Genty is, but the question is it at that position
I don't think one of the
enough?
linemen is.
Josh Simmons does look like a beast on film when he's
healthy.
healthy.
And I like Walker, but I don't think he's that. Necessarily. I think he could be, but you're having to project on a bunch of those guys. Mason Graham, I don't think Pete's off the mark with I don't know how much higher his ceiling is. I don't disagree. Right, with that assessment of Mason Graham, but that's okay. In a draft like this, where you're having to guess at so much of this kind of stuff, that doesn't bother me. In a typical draft, it would bother me. In this draft, it doesn't, because this draft is this draft. And you have to be dealing with the reality of what they're going to be dealing with at 5. That's why I'm on board with the Genty thing if that's the direction they want to go. And if they don't go Genty, I would expect that it's going to be Mason Graham, and I'm cool with that.
Now, look, if everybody, in the Jags organization agrees that Mason Graham's a top 5 player, it may be a different story. And you say, okay, we'll take him and we'll get a really good running back somewhere else down the line. Or for all we know, they love Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby and think that with improved offensive line play, that's going to be enough, and they go really late on the position. I think they address it, and I would suspect, I heard the ladies on Helmets and Heels talking about who do you think which positions go with the first 6 picks yesterday. I think it's more likely than not that they go with one in those first 6, meaning through the 4th round, that one of them's a running back. I think they will address edge. I think they'll probably address a couple of spots on the D-line, probably one edge and one defensive tackle. I think they'll probably take an offensive lineman. They'll probably take a wide receiver. They'll probably take a running back. And then that leaves room for what? A safety, a corner, a tight end, a whatever.
Something else.
You know? And, man, I was really surprised, though, when I posted those dueling mocks yesterday, one with Genty, one with Will Campbell going to the Jags. And the guy responded, well, out of all these guys, only one of them would start, and that's Will Campbell. So you don't think Genty would start for the Jags if they took him at 5. And you don't think any number of guys that they're taking in the 2nd round would start for this team. I'm going to be extremely disappointed, Tony, if both those guys are not opening day starters.
Yeah, I don't think they heard our top 5s on Tuesday.
No.
Yeah.
No. So, anyway, that's where things stand for the Jags right now. Let's take a look at today's question of the day and where things stand at the moment. And, again, one of the closest polls that we've done in a while here, 21.7% is what the lowest person is polling out of 4 options here. Assuming good health, who will be the 2nd most productive pass catcher after Brian Thomas Jr. for the Jaguars this year? De'Ami Brown getting 30%, 25.6% to Brenton Strange, nearly 23% going with a rookie wide receiver or tight end, and then Parker Washington there at 21.7%, bringing up the rear. It is interesting because they do need to address certain different positions. I'd love to know, especially in light of the Jarian Jones comments to Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4, how they feel about that corner position. Like Pete thinks Maxwell Hairston at 36 sounds like would be the ideal pick for this team. But if they feel like Jarian Jones is at least going to be in competition for a starting spot there, is that too early to go and add to the cornerback room?
I don't think it's too early. The way I look at it is I'd be fine if they didn't take a corner until day 3 of the draft, right? Like, that's the way I feel about it. I'd be okay if that's the direction they went. But I'm not saying that it's set enough in stone that if a guy like Hairston is there at 36 and you evaluate him and you say he's the best player available, I'm not drafting him because he's a corner.
But if he is, I don't care who they are, that pick on this team needs to be in the opening day lineup.
That's fine.
Right? And that's right. And
that's like the offensive lineman they would draft at 5. Figure it out. Let them all compete, and someone's going to win the job.
And that's the caveat you always got to make. If you're going to go Will Campbell, Armand Membo, or trade down, take Kelvin Banks or any of these guys, you better have a clear plan in place of how these guys are all going to fit in. And, Pete's idea was if they do go with the offensive lineman, maybe you give Campbell a chance at left tackle first. You kick Walker Little in any scenario. Basically, Walker Little would kick inside to compete with Ezra Cleveland and hope for the best.
I have no urgency to take a corner. I'm not opposed to taking a corner at some point in round 2 or 3.
I'd be surprised if they don't take a corner in the draft.
Yeah, it's the NFL draft. They're going to take a corner and they're going to take a wide receiver because everyone takes a corner and a wide receiver in the NFL draft. They're the most commonly drafted positions. It's a matter of urgency, and I think there are a lot of people that feel an urgency at corner that I don't feel. And that's fine, right? So I don't need them to do it at 36 or even in the 3rd round. If there's a player available that they love, do it, and I have no issue with it.
Part of the thing that skews, I think, you and I, our perceptions, we spent a lot of time on Pro Football Network using the mock draft simulator, and, like, Noel Williams out of Cal, I had him in one of my mocks this week in, like, the 5th round. And then I see, a column that says maybe one of the steals of the 3rd round. So it's like, who the hell really knows where any of these guys are coming off the board? All right, our time today is done. That means it's time to welcome in Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Laura Brooks is here. Good morning, LB.
Sup, Mike?
Sup? How are you?
I'm draft fatigued just like y'all are.
I'm draft drunk right now. Like, I'm not really
Draft
fatigued.
delirious.
I still read every single thing. It's more the stuff that interests me now is more the scuttlebutt, the rumor mongering, because I don't have to. I'm not the one making the pick at 5. I don't have to worry about who's going to jump ahead of me or do this or whatever the case may be. But I don't know if you heard Pete Prrisco with us. When you've got Prrisco saying, running back at 5 might not be the worst idea. It's a different kind of year.
Yeah, I think I told you I did a media mock draft with a station in Vegas a couple weeks ago before anyone had Genty mocked to the Jags. And I upset Raider Nation, of course, because they want him at 6.
Then you better give us something for the 5th pick.
Exactly. And so ever since then, and I'm not saying I set this trend, but ever since then, it does feel like you've started to see more and more people associate Genty coming here. And it would be fascinating if that's
at least 3 actual mocks have the Jags taking him from big time sources. Pete had one where the Bears traded into 5 to take Genty, and he agrees. And Tony and I talked about this. We voted for Genty in our own poll about the player that could be available at 5 that would create the most likely trade down scenario for Jacksonville, assuming Hunter and Carter are gone, which we all assume at this point. And it's looking more and more like that's probably not Shedeur Sanders. We don't even know if the Saints prefer him over Jackson Dart at this point. And you're hearing that, like, nobody has a first-round grade on him.
Right. And by the way, the Saints don't want us to know what they think of these quarterbacks.
Of course not.
Right. That's the other funny part about all the rumors is no one within these organizations is telling anyone anything. Like the insiders, all these NFL insiders, they come up with their mock drafts, and then you go back and look at it after the case. Like the media mock draft, for instance, last year that we did between your show and our show. I think there were 5 that got it right. So as expert as we all are, it still obviously changes so much the night of.
It's a lot tougher the later you get, obviously, because players that you didn't have a chance to pick in a mock draft may still be available or whatnot. But the betting odds are all coalescing around 7 particular players for those first 7 spots. So we'll see. Look, all the pundits love Mason Graham. Maybe the Jags have him ranked like 9th best player in the draft.
What's so fun for me and fascinating is we will learn so much, obviously not just with the 5th pick overall, but we've had so many questions about what does James Gladstone, what does Liam Cohen, what does Tony Baselli think about? We know what they thought about the bottom of the roster, the floor, but what do they think about certain positions? That's what we finally get to learn. We've been wondering, how do they feel about Walker Little? We have no idea. Do they think Jarian Jones can play outside corner? We will learn, I feel like, a lot of those things.
According to Jarian, they do.
Of course, yeah.
So,
but are you going to tell Jarian, no, you're only going to play nickel, and oh, by the way, you're now going to be a backup?
The way he phrased it in that interview with Jamal St. Cyr was, I said, hey, I'd like the chance to play that. And they were like, good, that's what we were thinking, too. It wasn't like, well, okay, we'll let you do that, you know. So,
but again, I mean,
there's evidence of that. I mean, the fact that we thought he could have been a good nickel, and they went out and spent a bunch of money on nickel, but
exactly. Like I said,
7 days.
At least we finally get to learn because it is certainly a new regime.
All right, what's coming up for the Heels today?
Yeah, we'll continue the draft drunk or draft deliriousness. We'll
draft
talk
drunk.
to EJ Snyder of Bootleg Football at 12:20, and then we'll get away from football and talk some football with Stacy, the new head coach of your USL women's soccer team. Stacy Balaam will join us in studio. So excited to talk to her.
All right, can't wait. LB, have a good show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You have
Warren
a great
Brooks.
rest of your day.
Likewise, I'll let you know by about the fourth hole, Tony, if I'm going to have the good rest of my day. All right, that'll do it for us. McManus in studio tomorrow, Tone, and we'll be a week out from ripping apart the fifth pick of the overall NFL draft next week. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks to Hayes Carion of the Frangie Show and Pete Prrisco of CBS Sports for joining us on the program today. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Stick around for Helmets and Heels next on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.